You grew up believing that if you loved hard, stayed loyal, treated her like a queen, and gave her everything, she would be there when life punched you in the mouth. You thought she would sit with you in the rain, holding your hand while you faced your demons, whispering that everything would be okay. That was the illusion, the lie you were sold. Because when that storm actually comes, when your money dries up, when your confidence takes a hit, when you feel lost and the world stops clapping for you, that's when you look around, expecting to see her there, and she's gone. No warning, no conversation, no attempt to understand. Just distance, silence, coldness. She didn't even have the decency to say goodbye properly, and it cuts deep because you believed her words. You believed the "I'll never leave you" promises, the "we're in this together" pillow talk, the illusion that her love was built for the hard days too. What you thought was loyalty was just convenience. She was there because it was easy, because it felt good, because you were winning. The moment your world shifted and your problems became her discomfort, she started to pull away. Slowly at first, with shorter texts, less warmth, less interest in your struggles, until one day, you realize she isn't coming back. It's not because she's cruel, but because her loyalty was never about you. It was about what you provided, how you made her feel, how you lifted her up, and gave her something to believe in. The second you needed her to believe in you, when you couldn't stand on your own, she disappeared, leaving you with the harsh reality that most women don't stay for the struggle. They stay for the comfort, the security, the elevation, and the moment you can't give it, you see her true nature. You keep thinking it's your fault she left when you were down, that if you had just worked harder, smiled more, stayed stronger, she would have stayed. But that's the trap, the poison that seeps into your mind after she's gone. You don't realize that her departure wasn't about your worth. It was about her discomfort with your reality. She didn't want to see you tired, confused, or human. She wanted the polished, confident, always winning version of you, the man who made her feel secure and important, who made her feel like she was on a constant high. The moment you needed space to breathe, the moment you needed to step back and fight your silent battles, she saw it as weakness, as a burden she wasn't willing to carry. You were no longer a source of her happiness, and instead of digging in, she started detaching, rewriting the story in her mind, convincing herself you had changed, when really, you were just living through the storms every man faces. She started to act cold, short responses, distant energy, and you felt it deep in your gut. You tried to fix it, tried to reassure her, tried to pull her closer, thinking vulnerability would bring her back. But every time you tried to open up, hoping she would understand, hoping she would stay, you were unknowingly showing her exactly what she was running from. She didn't want to see you bleed. She didn't want to sit with you in silence when you had nothing to give. She wanted the highlight reel, the man who made her feel like life was a movie. She wasn't built for the grind, for the dark nights, for the moments when you needed a partner, not a passenger. And that realization breaks a man in a way nothing else can, forcing him to see that what he thought was love was only attachment to the benefits he brought into her life. So you sit there in the silence after she's gone, wondering what you did wrong, replaying every conversation, every moment you showed your exhaustion, your fear, your frustration. You think maybe if you had smiled that day, if you had hidden your stress better, maybe if you had just kept performing, she would still be there. But you need to understand that her leaving wasn't about a single moment. It was about the reality that you could no longer keep her fantasy alive. The image she loved, the strength and the ambition she admired, it cracked when you needed a moment to catch your breath. She didn't want to see your doubts, your fear of the future, your restless nights staring at the ceiling questioning your path. She didn't want to witness you as a human. She wanted the hero who never stumbled. And when she realized you were flesh and blood, She pulled away, not out of malice, but because she wasn't prepared to love you in your darkest hour. And that's what cuts the deepest. The realization that when you needed support the most, when you needed the softness of her presence to remind you that you could rebuild, she chose to leave. No conversations to understand you, no patience to hold space for your temporary season of struggle, just distance, excuses, and quiet exits. She might say, "I just need time," or "need to find myself," but what she really means is, "I can't handle seeing you like this." And you will sit with that pain, and it will harden something inside you. A piece of your innocence will die, and you will come to learn that most love is conditional, that loyalty is rare, and that the only person who will always stand beside you in the storm is the man you see in the mirror when everyone else leaves. That's the moment you start to change, not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. You realize you can't keep giving your soul to people who only love you when you're winning. You can't keep handing your loyalty to those who vanish the second you need help. So you start observing instead of assuming. You stop getting excited just because someone shows interest, because now you know that interest during your highs means nothing if it disappears during your lows. You begin to test her, not in petty ways, but in silence, watching how she reacts when you're quiet, when you're not in the mood to entertain, when you're too tired to perform. You notice how her energy shifts when your attention isn't fully on her, how her patience wears thin when you're focused on fixing your life, how her affection fades when you're not the man making her feel good every moment. And as you watch, you learn who is really there for you and who is there for the benefits of being around you. You stop oversharing your plans, your dreams, your fears, because you realize not everyone deserves that access to your mind. You stop explaining yourself, stop seeking comfort in her validation, and instead, you find comfort in your own growth, your own discipline, your own ability to weather storms alone. You start building your life like a fortress, not a playground for temporary visitors who only want the perks of your presence without the responsibility of your reality. You learn to enjoy your solitude, to find power in it, because you now understand that your peace is priceless and that your energy is sacred. You don't push people away, but you no longer chase them to stay, because if someone wants to leave when it gets hard, you let them, knowing their absence is a blessing, not a loss. You will notice the shift in yourself when you stop fearing her absence and start embracing your own presence. You stop needing someone to stay just so you can feel whole, because you've learned to be whole on your own. You've seen what it feels like to be abandoned when you're at your lowest, and you've survived it, rebuilt from it, and used it as fuel to create a life that no longer depends on anyone else for emotional stability. You begin to attract differently because your energy is no longer desperate or seeking validation. You're no longer looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone who aligns with the life you've built through your own discipline and pain. And you watch, calmly, as those who once claimed they would never leave begin to circle back when they see you standing tall again. But you don't let them back. Not because you hold grudges, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself that needed their validation to feel worthy. You now understand that loyalty is proven in the moments when life gets ugly, not when everything is easy and fun. You don't measure love by who celebrates with you at your highest, but by who kneels beside you when you're at your lowest, ready to build with you in silence, not just shine with you in public. You move differently, speak less, and observe more, because you've learned that time reveals the truth about people, and you no longer ignore those truths just because you're lonely. Your solitude has become your filter, and your peace has become your standard. You've learned that a man's power comes not from how many people want him when he's shining, but from how few people he allows into his world, because his world is sacred. And now, you only let those in who are willing to walk with you through the storm, not just dance with you in the sun.